What's up guys, AD back with another Destiny Child video, and in today's video everyone we are going to be overviewing the current tier list brought to you all by Saturn, as well as their ignition priority recommendations here for the Destiny Child global server. So I'll be sure to have Saturn's guide linked in the description box below, and a huge thank you to the person that did translate this guide for us as well, and of course the most thanks to Saturn for putting this together for all of us to follow. Now of course this is based on Saturn's opinion, so your personal opinion may differ as well as mine, but I'll be sure to overview this guide, as of course I do find it very helpful for all players across Destiny Child. So without any further ado, let's get started here with the light type units, as we do have the S tier here being the MVP, highest priority, ignite and uncap these units. As for the debuffer category here, we do have Nautilus. Of course she is a PvP god. You should manage to ignite and uncap this character whenever you do manage to get the chance. As for the supporters here, we do have a Neptune here, a 5-person giant universal double-edged sword, so she is very good for raids as well as in the spacewalk. Alongside Neptune here, we do have Jachungbi here, as she is a PvP god. You should manage to ignite this character. She is also very flexible to the World Boss Trials side of Destiny Child. And underneath Neptune and Jachungbi here, we do have Melia here, in which she is a PvP god and does happen to be a collaboration exclusive. So if you guys didn't manage to obtain her, you'll have to hope that she does return one day in a part 2 of the Guilty Gear Strive collab, in which we're not sure if we'll ever see, but nonetheless a very strong character here in Melia, and you should consider uncapping her through the HOR and igniting this character. Underneath here we do have the A+ tier, in which we do get started with some light type attackers. We do have Titania here, the PvE 6-hit slider. Of course she is highly prioritized in the Ragnarok side of Destiny Child, but is also very flexible to the World Boss Trial, so make sure to use it there if you do happen to have her invested into. Of course it's recommended to ignite this character, as she's a very strong light type raid hitter. Alongside Titania here, we do have Lassie. Everyone, she is a universal 6-hit slider, and she is very strong in the PvP side. You can manage to toss her into your endless duel team, I would say, and she does just fine. She also does have a place in the Devil Rumble if you guys would like to run light type allies alongside her, such as Jachungbi, Nautilus, etc. As for the supports here in A+, we do have Wodan. She's very amazing even unignited, so definitely make sure to hold on to this character. And alongside Wodan here, we do have Nimhain, which is recommended to fully ignite, as she is very flexible to the World Boss Trial, as well as a very strong in the light type team for the Ragnarok events. Now for the A+ tier, of course these are main units, high priority, worth to invest into these characters. As for the A tier here, everyone, we do have some debuffers, in which we do have Oracle Werewolf. It's recommended to ignite her to 3-star ignition, in which she does change drastically when she does manage to reach this point. She is very strong for every single world boss here. Next up here we do have Bradamante here, a very strong light type debuffer. She's very amazing in the endless duel, as well as very strong in normal Devil Rumble, and does have a place in the World Boss Trial as a disabler for the boss. As for the supports here of A tier, everyone, we do have Chandra. It's recommended to ignite her to 4 stars. She is a light type supporter for the World Boss Trials. Next up here we do have Sweet Citri. She's recommended to be ignited to 3 stars. Now something to take into account with Citri here is that most top players don't manage to use Citri anymore. They do happen to use the 20-man giant speed trio of Jachungbi, Melia, and Nimhain alongside Chandra, as Chandra does seem to be the better option now over Citri. Now underneath Chandra here we do have Salos. It's recommended to ignite her to 2 stars. She's very amazing in Cluster Lord, as well as in the normal World Boss Trial events, and of course very amazing for Ragnaroks, as she does happen to have focus in her skill sets. Next here for the defenders, everyone, we do have Boreas. She is an endless duel tank. It's recommended to ignite her to full ignition if you guys would like to use this character. She's very amazing, and of course with the influx of a ton of top tier light type units, you definitely can take advantage of her in the endless duel area of Destiny Child. Now for the final unit of the A tier, everyone, we do have Mat. She's very amazing even unignited. You shouldn't have to ignite this character at all, as she is a very flexible healer, does very well in the World Boss Trials, as as well as a nice healer for the Cluster Lord if you don't happen to have Freya. As for A tier, of course, these are main units, high priority, worth to invest into. As for B tier here, everyone, we do have quite a few units here, so we'll go through these quickly, as we do have the attackers featuring Gunslinger Hilder, Laura, which is recommended to fully ignite here for the World Boss Trials. Underneath, we do have Brilliance Arya, Bridal Hilder, Dreamer Saturn, as well as Light type Frey. As for the debuffers here, we do have Juno, as well as Ophoace, in which she is very amazing for the World Boss Trial against the Dark type bosses only. As for the supporters here, we do have Luna, Light Beamona, Bridal Samil, in which is recommended to ignite her to 4 stars, as well as Dawnbringer Saturn, in which the recommendation for her ignition is 3-star ignition. As for the defenders here, we do have Athena, and for the healers, we have Alf, as well as Pomona. As for the B tier and onwards, everyone, as you can see, we do have no need to invest to keep the uncaps, burst buster possibility, or future use. And for the C tier, we do have low priority, as well as ignition or HOR fodder, so make sure to take that into account for the units here shown in B tier as well as C tier. Moving on to the dark type units here, everyone, we do have the S tier featuring Lupin. Of course, you should ignite your attackers first before you do manage to fully ignite your Lupin, and many of you may happen to have a free fully ignited Lupin thanks to the previous Elisa's extra lessons. Of course, not the current set, but definitely a great unit here in Lupin nonetheless. She is an S tier supporter, so make sure to invest into her after you do manage to invest into your attackers. Don't make a mistake and invest into Lupin right away before you do manage to invest into any 6-hit sliders. As for A+ tier, everyone, we do have Ophoace here as well as Artemis. Ophoace is a universal 6-hit slider, while Artemis here is very amazing for Endless Duel, and of course very strong in dark type raid teams. Now, it's recommended to fully ignite both of these characters as they are very flexible and overall very amazing investments. Next up here, everyone, for the A tier, we do have the debuffers, in which we do have Faye. She doesn't really require any ignition. And for Notos here, she's a very strong dark type debuffer, in which you'll want to ignite this character if you would like to take advantage of her in the PvP side. As for the supporters here, we do have Tiwaz. It's recommended to ignite her to 3-star ignition at the very least, as well as Neza here, in which she will need at least 4-star ignition if you guys would like to use her in the Ragnarok raids. And underneath, we do have Duetsha here, which is a very amazing new dark type supporter. We recently just received this character in our last raid event. She is a very amazing investment, and you should manage to ignite her to full ignition here for the Ragnarok raids, as she is definitely an amazing long-term use character, and of course also is very useful in World Boss Trials against those light type bosses. Next here, we do have Clotho, everyone, in which she is a defender. It's recommended to ignite Clotho to at least 2-star ignition if you guys would like to use her at all. As for B+ tier, everyone, we do have the attackers here on the far left hand side, in which we do have Kubaba here. She is a PvE slider. Next up here, we do have Eve, the dark type attacker. She is a PvE 6-hit slider once again, and does happen to be recommended to ignite to full ignition, so you guys can take advantage of that full 6-hit slide for herself. Now, underneath these two, we do have Kefri as well as Dionysus, in which this is one of the new characters similar to Lassie, but unfortunately she is worse than her, so you should definitely choose Lassie instead of this character here if you guys would like to invest into one of the two. Next here, we do have the debuffers, everyone, in which we do have Rhea Silva as well as Lisa and Davi. Moving on to the supporters, we do have Samil here as well as Philotis here. Now, for the dark type defenders, we do have Forcus, and for the healers, we have Juriadis as well as Mirkala. Now, for Juriadis here, she's pretty decent for the PvP dark team, but of course she still isn't too high of a priority right now considering how the dark type team is shaped out. Now, for the B tier as well as the C tier, everyone, make sure to hit the pause on this video if you guys would like to check them out. But quickly, for the B tier, we do have Frey, Zephyros, Elizabeth, Mott, Saturn, and Shining Mars here for the attackers. For the debuffers here, we do have Iphis, Banshee, Medusa, and Rita. As for the supporters, we have Pantheon. Of course, Lupin is better than him, Werewolf, Lima, as well as Hephaestus. And for the defenders here, we have Moa and Seth. As for the water type characters here, everyone, we do start out with our first SS tier character of the graphic here, in which we do have Anemone. Of course, she is a god type supporter, and all of you should have chosen her from the Lisa's Extra Lessons event. I hope that you guys did manage to choose this character, as she is without a doubt one of the best characters here in Destiny Child so far. far. Now for Anemone here, of course, she is a universal support with heal, and of course she is very newbie friendly for pretty much all areas of Destiny Child, so you can definitely use this character a ton. Hopefully you guys did manage to pick her up with Elisa's extra lessons. As for S tier of the water type characters, everyone, we do have the attackers consisting of Tokika as well as Ariel, in which Tokika is very amazing for the raid side events against those fire type enemies. Of course, she does have penetration in her skill sets, which does make her the best water type attacker against the fire type bosses. And for Ariel here, she is a 6-hit percentage base slider, so she is very similar to Pepita in that aspect, as she is the second 6-hit percentage base slider here on Destiny Child so far. As for the debuffers here, everyone, we do have Ramlathal. She is a collaboration exclusive character from the previously ran Guilty Gear Strive collab, and should definitely be ignited to full ignition if you guys do manage to have this character, as she is a very amazing character against the Cluster Lord bosses and of course in World Boss Trials. Next up here, we do have the supporters category, in which we do have Thisbe. It's recommended to ignite her to at least 3 stars if you guys would like to use this character. Now if you do happen to have an Anemone already fully invested into, as most of you should thanks to Lisa's extra lessons, then you shouldn't need to prioritize Thisbe at all right now. Now in some circumstances she is usable considering the Endless Duel, and of course in the current Endless Duel Endguard event, as you guys may have seen in my team events guide overview, we are running Thisbe in the Endless Duel Endguard. But for the majority of you newer players, you should definitely just stick with Anemone and avoid investing into Thisbe for the time being. Next up here, everyone, we do have the A+ tier, which does consist of only one character, in which we do have our beautiful water type attacker in Bari. Now due to her recent buffs, she does manage to be a 4-hit slider, a percentage based slider of course, and is very amazing for the World Boss Trials, so definitely make sure to keep Bari in mind if you guys would like to invest into a water type attacker for those 20-man boss events. Next up here, everyone, for the A tier, we do manage to have quite a few options here, in which we do have Eve. She is a universal 6-hit slider. She should be ignited fully if you guys would like to use this character, otherwise she is unfortunately very useless. Now alongside Eve here, we do have Air. She is a universal 6-hit slider as well, very similar to Eve in that aspect. And underneath these two, we do have Vairupa here. She is very amazing for the Ragnarok events, and of course does require very small investments, in which you only need to ignite her to at least 2 stars, and you should be able to one-shot each fire boss very easily. Now for the debuffers here, everyone, we do manage to have Methuselah here as well as Mercury. Now Mercury is very amazing for all World Boss Trials, but you will need to have her ignited to at least 4-star ignition, so she does manage to unlock her elemental restriction, so make sure to ignite her. Underneath these two, everyone, we do have Isolate here. She is very strong for PvP, and you should manage to ignite this character to full ignition. Now I do manage to use Isolate personally without any ignition, and she does manage to do just fine. I would say she is a very amazing unit even without ignition, so if you are a beginner player and do happen to lack a debuffer for the Double Rumble, definitely make sure to give Isolate a shot, as I personally do believe she is a very strong unit even without ignition, very similar to Limos, in which they don't need investment to jump into the battle. Next up here, everyone, we do have the water type supporters of A tier, in which we do have Arat, Davi, as well as Leo. Now for Arat here, it's recommended to ignite her to at least 4-star ignition, and for Davi here, she will require 3-star ignition. Now for the tanks, everyone, we do have Ymir, in which she is an endless dual tank, very amazing there, and should happen to be ignited to full ignition. Now for B+ tier, everyone, of course, we'll go through these quickly, in which we do have Cassia here. She is a very amazing PvE percentage based slider, as well as Maftat here, which is a very strong water type 6-hit slider as well. Now for the debuffers here, we do have Babel here, which he does manage to be pretty strong in the World Boss Trials, in which you will manage to need him if you are a fairly newer player, as he'll definitely help you guys out a ton against those boss events. Next up here, everyone, we do have debuffer Nicole, in which she is a pretty solid PvP option for the Endless Duel as well as Devil Rumble. Now underneath these two, we do have Ashimi, in which she'll be arriving soon with a Ragnarok event of hers. Overall, she is a very solid debuffer, as you can see on the guide here. Speculation, her PvP skill sets is very similar to Kalaratri, so make sure to keep that in mind, and we'll be sure to overview her here on the channel as well well coming very soon. Next tier 40 supporters, we have Theophano, Guillotine, Nirdi, as well as Chang'e. As for the defenders, we have Paquette, and for the healers of the B+ tier, we do have Rin, Euros, Messier, as well as Turan. As for the B and C tier, everyone, make sure to give this video a pause if you guys would like to check out the units that are shown here. Of course, for B tier, we have no need to invest. Keep the uncaps as they could possibly be a burst buster. And of course, for C tier, these units are pretty much just fodder. As for the fire units, everyone, we do start out with Ziva here in the S tier. Very amazing for Endless Duel and of course for the Spacewalk. So definitely make sure to keep her and invest into this character as soon as possible. She is very amazing for those areas of Destiny Child. Moving on to the attackers here in A+ tier, we do manage to have Courtesan Bathory. She is very amazing for the PvE events and she happens to be a 6-hit slider. Now for the supporters here, we do have Rusalika, in which she is a PvE and PvP fire team unit. Definitely very amazing alongside those other fire type allies. As for the A tier, everyone, we do have the attackers consisting of Myra. She's very amazing for the PvP fire type teams, and you guys may have seen her recently in the Endless Duel Endguard event. Now for the A tier debuffers here, everyone, we have Kalaratri. She is very strong in the Endless Duel fire team. Ragaraja, she's strong in PvP as well as in the Spacewalk for her leader skill and overall a great unit there. Definitely should be used in the Spacewalk. Underneath of these two, we do have Limos. She is a 20 giant boss leader, as well as she will need the Fresia puppet if you guys would like to use her there. As for the supporters, everyone, we do have Teresa here, in which is recommended to ignite her to 2-star ignition. Failnaught here is also a strong double-edged supporter for the raid side of the game, as well as the world boss trials. Underneath of these two, we have Samael as well as Krasnik. Very amazing alongside a future fire type attacker in Reynard, and of course she is very strong in the Endless Duel alongside fire type allies, as you guys may have seen in the top 100 as well as Endguard events. As for the defenders here, everyone, we have Maupin, PvP fire type team, as well as Soul, the Guilty Gear collaboration exclusive. He is very strong in the Endless Duel. Now for the healers here, we have Luffy, very amazing for Ragna Burst, and of course the PvP fire type teams. As for the B+ tier, everyone, we do have Leda here, the world boss attacker, very amazing for the PvE events. Of course, she is a 6-hit slider upon being fully ignited. And alongside Leda here, we do have Metis here, in which she is a PvE percentage based slider, in which you will want to ignite this character if you would like to use her in the world boss trials. Next up here for the debuffers, we do have Wyatt. She is a PvP fire team unit. And for the healers of B+ tier, we do have Dana, which is good for Ragna Burst. Now for B tier, everyone, will go through these quickly, in which we do have the attackers consisting of Hastia, Love and Hate Davi, Tiamat, which is a PvP attacker. For the debuffers here, we have Jupiter, Demeter, Nine, Eve, Leifang, as well as Mona. For the supporters, we have Christmas Leda, Party Star Medb, Artemisia, Fennec, as well as a note here for Med B. Teresa is overall better than this character. And for the defenders here, we do have Dionyside, in which Failnaught is better, Kano, Argos, as well as Catherine. And for the healers here, we do have Kakas as well as Honoka. For the C tier, make sure to pause the video if you guys would like to check out these units. Of course, these are very low priority, as well as can be considered HOR or ignition fodder. Now, something to keep in mind here for Ganesha, when the next wood type world boss trial does manage to roll around, we will manage to receive the replacements for Ganesha, so no worries to see her here in the C tier. And overall, in previously ran fire team events for the world boss trials, many teams were actually dropping this character, and she overall doesn't manage to do too much on the team, and there are honestly better options. So I did want to touch on that here in the C tier, as many of you may have been wondering, why is Ganesha here in the C tier if she is the only offensive stance unit currently for the fire type team? Now, no worries, she will be replaced very soon and should be replaced in the next wood type world boss trial event. On to the final elements here, everyone. We do have the wood type allies here. As we can see, we do have 2 SS tier units here consisting of Papita here to start. Of course, she is a universal 6-hit percentage based slider, a very strong wood type attacker. And we do have a future unit arriving very soon here in Sarasu. Now, Sarasu, of course, this will be a wood type supporter. Of course, we do have the text here on screen. Speculation, as this is based on Japan. Great in every game mode, even in the future content, but also very possible that she will receive a different skill set as well as role here in global like Yuna, as this character's current skill set from the Japanese server will actually skill crash with other units on our wood Ragnarok team. So definitely something to keep in mind here with Sarasu. Now, if she doesn't manage to be changed, then she will definitely be a god tier character here on Destiny Child. Overall, a very amazing wood type supporter, and we'll be sure to discuss her once her skill set does manage to drop here very soon. Now, for the S tier here, everyone, we do have Lady Bathory, in which she is very strong in the World Boss Trial events. Of course, if you do manage to have Ramlethal, make sure to use Ramlethal over Lady Bathory, but nonetheless, Bathory is still very amazing for areas such as Spacewalk as well as in the PvP side. Next here, we do have Bikini Citri, in which she is very amazing in the Endless Duel, and of course still very strong in Devil Rumble, so definitely make sure to invest into her for those areas of the game. Next up here, we do have Newbie Mona in the supporter category. Of course, you can ignite if you do happen to have 3 invested attackers of the same element. Now, many of you should happen to have her ignited thanks to the Lisa's extra lessons, as she was a free pick there. As for the A+ tier, everyone, we do have Strigoi. She is an Endless Duel god and should be fully ignited. As for the supporters here, we have Maid Citri, in which you should ignite her to 3-star ignition. And for the healers, we do have Freya. She is a universal healer and also very strong in the Endless Duel. Now, for the A tier, everyone, we do have Annie. She's a 5-person giant boss, a percentage-based tapper, but of course, Pepita is better than Annie overall. Now, for the debuffers here, we do have Navi. She's very amazing in the Cluster Lord as well as World Boss Trials. You should ignite this character to at least 3-star ignition, and alongside Navi here, we do have Zini. Now, for the supporters, we do have Grilla, Rosanna, Yuna, Elysian, and Scrooge. While Yuna is suggested to be ignited to 4-star ignition, Elysian and Scrooge here will need to be ignited fully to be taken advantage of. As for the B+ tier here, everyone, we do have the attackers consisting of Miriam, Hell, in which she's a PvE percentage-based slider, Ayane, a PvE 6-hit slider, which is primarily used in the World Boss Trials, and alongside Ayane here, we do have Daphnis, a PvE 6-hit slider yet again. As for the debuffers here, we do have Lewin, Pan, as well as Katsi. Now, for the supporters, we do have Lisa, Venus, in which she is used on the Endless Duel wood team, Aura, Robin, as well as Grendel, in which she does happen to be a new wood type supporter. She does have a place for the wood team in the PvP as well as Endless Duel. Now, for the defenders here, we do have Raffles as well as Nephthys. Raffles is an Endless Duel tank, while Nephthys here is a 20 giant person boss defender, as she is a very strong survival unit for newbie players. As for the healers here, we do have Estrella as well as Haket. Haket here is used in Ragna Burst, while Perfect Mona here is used in the Endless Duel. Now, for the B tier here, everyone, we do have the attackers consisting of Serval, Siren, and Abaddon. The debuffers here consisting of Midas. Of course, Mercury is better if you do happen to have her ignited to 4-star ignition, as well as Catherine here. Now, for the supporters, we have Brownie as well as Epona. The defenders here, Mammon and Maria Rose. And for the healers, we have Sinrix. Now, for the C tier, of course, make sure to give the video a pause if you guys would like to check them out, as these units are pretty much safe to be foddered and probably won't be used at all in the future. So that'll pretty much do it for the updated tier list here for Destiny Child Global. So a huge thank you to Saturn for putting together this amazing guide for all of us to follow. As you guys can see, this graphic is huge, so make sure to check it out in the description box below. I'll be sure to have it linked down there as always. And of course, a huge thank you to the one that did manage to translate this guide, as of course that is very helpful, and I'll be sure to have the Reddit post linked down there in the description as well. So hopefully you guys did manage to find Saturn's graphic here very helpful. I do agree with it for the most part. Of course, you should invest into characters depending on your need, but I definitely do agree with this graphic here. Very amazing ratings here and fair across the board for all of the 5 5 stars that we do manage to have on Destiny Child Global so far. Of course, if there are any changes, I'll be sure to update this video as frequently as possible, as of course these videos do get pretty long, but hopefully you guys did manage to enjoy this one here today. But that'll pretty much do it for today's Destiny Child video. Make sure to leave a like on this one if you guys did manage to enjoy it, and of course leave a comment down below if you did manage to find it helpful as well. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys would like to stay notified for more Destiny Child videos, as well as Goddess of Victory Nikke content. But with all of that being said, I'll catch you all in the next Destiny Child video. As always, thank you all so much for watching.